Today, I had the wonderful opportunity to speak to Robby Besner from Therasage. I bumped into Robby over lunch at a mastermind group. I soon realized he knew a thing or two about red light therapy and decided to get out the camera, hit the record button, and take a deep dive into his world. Robby has been a long-time advocate for natural health and wellness, and when a family member was diagnosed with Lyme disease, Robby discovered the healing benefits of infrared and red light therapy. From here, Therasage was born. So in this conversation, not only do we look at the history of Therasage, but we look at some of his unique products. They're not the typical products that we see in the red light therapy space. Therasage are producing their products in America. They also sell their portable infrared sauna and an assortment of other health and wellness products. Okay, let's get into the interview. Okay, cool. So thank you so much, Robby, for taking the time to sit down. Quite an amazing place. And fortunately, the sun's not too intense. We'll see how we go. We might start breaking out in a sweat, but I'm intrigued. We've obviously just met. I've heard about your company briefly, but I don't know too much. So let's roll the clock back a little bit.
Okay.
You've been around for a long time. How did this all kick off?
I have a medical background, so I'm a healthcare provider. Our company is Therasage. I'm the device developer and the co-founder, and our company is approximately 25 years old.
Wow.
So we roll back the clock 25 years. What inspired us was my oldest child contracted Lyme disease, and when she got sick, I just started to look at the way that she was expressing herself, and she had, in my opinion, high levels of toxicity, which in my deep research went to the relationship between toxicity, inflammation, and symptoms. We didn't have telemedicine then, and there wasn't virtual doctors like we see in today's world. And I'm sure everybody listening today can appreciate that the modern conveniences of having that access to information on the internet, as well as direct information that you can get from practitioners. So we had a very, very specific purpose. And when I looked at the way my daughter was expressing herself, I did a deep dive in understanding about toxicity. So not being Lyme literate, and we had the best Lyme literate doctor that was working with her, what I felt I could have value in our relationship was to work on the kinds of home solutions that we could develop that could help my daughter help herself, not realizing that it was really for everyone. Again, 25 years ago, Lyme disease wasn't quite as pronounced as it is today, as the research and in the misunderstanding of the disease. And so we were battling politics, we were battling disinformation. And so I took it upon myself, even though the approach we took was an MD allopathic Western medicine approach. As a family, we practiced natural healing and sort of integrated functional medicine, which wasn't the title back then. But I went to China. I started developing, what I discovered was that aside from invasive forms of detoxification like dialysis or taking a supplement, whether it be natural or pharmaceutical synthetic, that could purge or chelate a toxin, I discovered that there's actually wavelengths of sun energy that will mobilize all the toxins in your body. And at that time, 25 years ago in the US market, the only healthcare application for infrared was by sports medicine doctors working with players that got injured on the field to lower their pain thresholds and to get their bodies to kick into an accelerated healing process so they get back on the field again. So pain management was important to me, and the natural healing process was important to me. And then, of course, my discovery about the beautiful, beautiful features of healing with sun or biophoton modulation, sun energy, how that affects the body and stimulating systems, not just detoxification. So I went to China. I spent 2.5 months there practically, interviewing 65 factories, starting to develop devices just for home use, not realizing basically the big door we were opening up, because what we found was that our daughter responded amazingly well to the effects of sun energy on many levels, not just on the detox, and that the doctors that were supporting her, who had their practices were 100% filled with infectious disease patients that had chronic challenges. They wanted what we were developing for our own personal use. And that was basically the genesis of our company, how we started. It started with a story about her, but honestly, it's a story about helping everybody.
Yeah.
And that's part of our mission back then for Therasage, was to create an environment where I could develop technologies that would help her, or I could position myself within the Lyme community and all the top researchers in Lyme across the globe now, to give me some insight that I could use to try to help her help herself. So this was sort of a pain to purpose, or maybe a little bit self-serving, but that really became the platform. And what I soon came to realize is that the stuff we were developing weren't just for our daughter, it really was for everyone. And the challenges with toxicity isn't just for Lyme disease, it's addressing the environment that we're living in today. So fast forward 25 years, we've got challenges with air, with water, with food, and maybe in a sense, a step back from the way nature intended us to be, which is communing with the ground, with earth, spending more time in the sun and enjoying all the things that nature has given us as gifts. But in modern society, we live in controlled home environments that prevent us from actually getting the benefits of everything around us.
I've said it before in these interviews, it's amazing how many people, whether they're typically founders of companies, but even some researchers who have come at this field for personal interest, like personal health reasons, and then realized, there's something to this, and then want to spread it to the world. But you did this well before a lot of the other people I've been talking to. So you mentioned the sun, and you mentioned infrared, and I know you've also got quite a understanding around red light therapy. So what were you, when you were in China developing these products or coming up with some products, what exactly was that back then, like 20 odd years ago? Was it the infrared like sauna? Or was it...
Well, actually, the first invention was on-body experiences with what we call healing pads.
Right, okay.
And we have really two delivery systems. We have the on-body experience where you can take a pad that you can bring the same energies. Well, so the key was harnessing the full spectrum and of sunlight and sun energy. And what I did as a bio researcher and scientist was I actually downloaded, NASA publishes all of the frequencies that touch the earth minute to minute. And so I looked at 1 year of this type of light energy, how it affects nature and the planet, took the first and second standard deviation of that number and created a formula, a cocktail in a sense, of the way we deliver our full spectrum infrared to mimic the way nature delivers it. So that the idea was that, again, part of the principle is, I believe in our modern world, even though we have all these fantastic conveniences, wireless this and that, and Bluetooth and electric cars and all that great stuff, right? We have that on one side. On the other side is what I believe, just as, in the animal and plant kingdom, how far we've departed from the way nature intended us to be. So I'm dating back to Moses and Jesus and Buddha and those days, when we lived in caves and tents and on the land, and we woke up to the sunrise, and we didn't have alarm clocks, and we had bio clocks that actually synchronized with the planet, and we don't have as much of that these days. And that, for me, that explains, I believe, why we have the rises of these chronic challenges. And as much money as we're pouring into healthcare, we seem to be still moving away from that primal healing essence that I believe we need, all of us need, in order for us to be, symptom-free and living a very full life, staying out of hospital. So, you have a different perspective from where you live and the Western approach to medicine where we live.
Yeah.
And one of the benefits I've had, because I travel around curating materials from different parts of the world, is to see the American market from outside.
Yeah, right.
And understand that we don't necessarily get it right. I mean, some ways we're on top of our game big time. But in a lot of ways, I feel that these modern conveniences have really taken us out of the way that our bodies can function naturally and get the optimal experience.
Yeah, and I know New Zealand is heavily influenced with the American medical system, not to the same degree, but I mean, there's obviously a lot of crossover. But let's say someone comes to your company and, they're working in, I don't know, Seattle, and they're doing 50 hours a week in an office, and they know, like, from a health point of view, it isn't great, right? But, they got a mortgage, they got a family, they're stuck there for the time being, at least. How can your products, how can the products that are mimicking sunlight in a way, how can it help? How can it be used by an individual like that?
Well, we call them the pillars of our company. And one pillar is to try to bring nature, the things that I've talked about just briefly, try to encapsulate those and put them into our technology to bring that into your home, so that, as to your point, when we have busy lifestyles and we have strong commitments to our work and to our families, that we can bring this segment of nature into your home so that you can integrate it within your lifestyle. So there's two parts. One is to educate the public, which we spend 80% of our time is in research, development, educating, putting out very interactive interviews. And like yourself, we have a podcast and ways that we can not just bring our view, but also bring great minds in integrated functional healthcare to raise awareness to the general public, for them to understand that there are other ways. That maybe the Western ingrained approach, the allopathic MD approach, maybe that isn't the only way, and that having free choice and given opportunity, that you can actually make a choice that might be a better choice for you and your family. This is without judgment. There's great parts to all these systems. Just like if I was to ask you about your country, I have friends there and we do business in your country, but I haven't lived there.
Yeah, right.
And so knowing how beautiful your country is, that I just feel that every country, every city, every town has its great stuff if you look for it. So that was an indirect answer. We make devices that are affordable. We make devices that are portable. We make devices that are easy to use. They're very sophisticated, but a fifth grader, it's very plug and play oriented. You can plug it in. They're very intuitive, so you don't need a graduate degree. All you need to know is that you're in pain, or you want to detox, or you're having challenges with sleep. That we really cover all the broad bases of what we feel are the main challenges that people have in today's world. You announce what that is, and then we have a team actually set up our website. On the top, it says, ask an expert, or make an appointment with a health advisor. It's free.
Yeah.
And we generally target that free enterprise to the people that are buying our products, so that they could get the optimal application and reach their goal.
Okay.
Because again, as a company, we have a lot of, when we go to medical conferences, I speak at podcasts and summits and all that stuff, and on stage at these medical conferences, I feel there are other companies that are interested in a sale. We're interested in knowing that when you purchase something from us, that you're getting the product that's properly paired with what you're trying to achieve, what your goal is. You know how to operate it. And we have an ongoing relationship with all of our customers and all of our ambassadors and influencers to elevate awareness, let them know about our new devices and the new innovations that we're making, and then to properly pair with their customer base, their community, what we're doing and how it can help you.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit the like button, leave any questions down below, and also hit the subscribe button. I do a lot of product reviews, a lot of interviews, a lot of deep dives into the world of red light therapy and infrared. So hit those buttons down below.
Okay, so then going back to the office worker in Seattle example,
Yes.
let's play this out. Let's say I'm him. I contact you. I'm like, my sleep's horrible. I'm 40 years old, bone aches. I'm aching in my joints. Just getting into this whole alternative health world. I've come from a very traditional. No, that's the wrong word. A conventional diet.
Okay.
So I'm looking for big change. And I want to spend some money on some products. Like, how then do you help solve that? Is it here's a light, here's a sauna? What's the
Well, again, we have basically two delivery systems. One is an on-body experience.
right?
So if you came to me and you said, well, let's refine again the goals or the challenges. So if you're symptomatic and you, let's say, in your lifestyle choices, you have a very rich diet, maybe you're a little bit overweight, you have sleeping challenges, you like your alcohol with dinner, so this is a very American thing. I don't know what it is for your community or not, but you guys are pretty adaptive at translating what we're talking about to your own circumstances. So, and also, again, remember overlaying the overarching, and again, in America, we've got big carbon footprints in the major cities. You have major cities too, but you also have a lot of rural areas and, where I think it's a little bit more set up for people to be able to commune with nature than the US, unless you go seek it. I could be wrong about it, but so I would address toxicity as number one.
So how you
so there is the organ toxicity and detoxing. That's a very spot specific.
And this is with red light?
Yeah.
Infrared light?
Yeah. So we have on-body experiences that we call healing pads. Yes. We have a red light that I developed, a very unique diode. Yeah. And so for people that are listening in the LED distribution channel, it's called monochromatic. And that means that you have a single LED that has a single frequency. Yeah. And then most of the other purveyors or other people in the red light or infrared frequency, they have different arrays of different frequencies, and then they turn on and turn off, creating that cocktail. What I did that was different was I curated 3 of the wavelengths that I feel are the most beneficial, 1 red light and 2 near infrared. Yeah. And I created 1 LED that's got 3 wavelengths in the single LED. Yeah. And so I can deliver 3 times the amount of light energy directly into your skin and directly into your cell, which is really the end game in biophoton modulation, is how do I get as much light energy into your cell? And
that's the beauty of the red and the infrared wavelengths.
And we've got rated, the technical term is emissivity, and we have about a 98.9% emissivity, which means that almost 100% of our frequencies are getting into your cell, which not that many other competitors can say. Also, our delivery is on body, so we're actually bringing the light right to your skin. And most of the other technologies sit in metal cans. They have high levels of electromagnetic fields. We have none of those because we shield from that. So there's no there's no contraindicator or challenge with the body having to choose to protect itself from EMF or ELF, which is extreme low frequencies, and delivering and receiving the beautiful healing frequencies of sunlight.
Those 3 wavelengths, are they publicly known? Can you reveal them?
Of course. Okay. There's 663 is what we use in the red light, and 840 and 980.
Right, nice. Okay, cool. Okay.
So we're still in the near infrared spectrum, and for people that know the way they're organized, the red light spectrum is very close to the near frequencies, so there are many attributes that go back and forth between red light and near, and that's why it shows those. We improve the natural production of nitric oxide. We support mitochondrial deficiencies, so cell energy if you've got a chronic challenge. And remember, my orientation was from Lyme disease or chronic ailments, so these are people that sometimes they're so sick they can't get out of bed. And so how do we, you pointed out the average guy that's overworked and stressed out. well, that might be a major part of our population, but then there's also another big part of our population that has, they've contracted, chronic ailments.
Right.
And so I felt if I could help someone with a chronic challenge, then how about the average guy out there?
Of course, yeah.
Then we're really at something. And we are the number one company that's being promoted by the healthcare community in our space in the US. We do service your country and 16 other countries outside the US. So we are very dedicated, both my wife and I. We didn't bring in venture capital and all that stuff. This has just been a passion and a philanthropic company that we've developed. And so for us, it's people over profit, very important. And we care. So we can make sales, we can do internet campaigns and all that, but we want to know that when you buy a device, why you're buying it, how are you going to use it, and how are you going to get the best result from it.
To make sure that they're getting their money's worth, right? They're not just buying something and they say this is rubbish and,
Well, there's so much of that out there.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was recently at a marketing conference and it's like the way that the presenters were talking, it's like, these are people that it wasn't, you know what I mean? We won't go down the path. So back to the red light therapy pads, the on-body pads.
Yes.
So they're very targeted. Obviously how targeted are they? Do you have full body ones that you can buy?
Yeah, well, the one that
small?
I mentioned to you, we call it Tri-Lite.
Tri-Lite, okay.
And it's actually a very portable, very lightweight pad. It's driven by a USB cube. Right, so it can be done like you can be completely off the grid with a portable battery, or you can just charge it up like you do, or use a cube charge like you would for your phone. Okay. So that's a very simple system. We take that with us. We use it on the plane. We travel with it. It can fit in your knapsack. It's very lightweight. And it's very flexible. Again, it's meant to be right on your body. If you put it on your face, many women, it can produce natural collagen. And so you don't need the fillers, Botox, all those other kinds of other interventions. This is using your body systems and using nature to bring back the things that we used to get naturally. We don't expose ourselves to these wavelengths long enough for it to be effective. We do have another second generation healing pad. So I described what we call the Tri-Lite. Yeah. The other one is called TheraPro. And it's actually a 6-in-1 device. So we have red light, we have full spectrum infrared, we pulse curated frequencies, PEMF.
Right, okay.
Okay.
It's all built in to one.
Yeah, it's all in one pad. So it rolls up, you can travel within your overnight bag. It has a onboard microcurrent system, so like a TENS unit. Yeah. There are 5 different kinds of gemstones. So we're getting all these earth energies, sun energy, all in one pad that you can conveniently take with you, on the road. We designed it for the optimal health category of our business, which are the premium athletes. But our vision and our belief system is that everyone's born an athlete. You don't have to be on a Wheaties box and swinging a big bat. You can be the average guy like you and me. You just want the best out of your life and you want to live healthy from the first breath to the last.
So what was that called? The Pro?
TheraPro.
And how large is that?
Well, they come in 2 sizes.
Yeah.
One would fit on the back of a chair like we're sitting on.
Yeah, right.
As I do every day. I sit on mine during work and research. Yeah. The other is the size of a treatment table. So if you want a full body in clinic, or generally some of the more adult community, they kind of want that full exposure. Yeah. Both of them are effective. And affordability is an important thing. We want to make devices that can go in everyone's household. And we also do you have a young family?
Yeah, I've got 2 little kids.
Okay, so we want to show you our technology, and then we want your kids to grow up knowing that an infrared sauna or a healing pad, as we make it, we'd love it to be our devices, but just the concept of having this kind of technology in your daily lifestyle. Yeah. So that they grow up in a household where sauna isn't about, you have Lyme disease and you have some challenge. It's about just staying healthy and being your optimal version of yourself. Yeah. And so we're interested in your in educating you, but we're really interested in the next generation that's coming in.
Yeah, I think my kids will have no issues there. We have 3 or 4 saunas at home. I probably have 50 or 60 different red light therapy products. So that definitely got a lot of exposure to that. The TheraPro, the full body, the big mat.
Yes.
How, in terms of usage recommendations, like, is it daily? Is it multiple times a day? Someone wants to maximize the benefits.
Yeah. I mean, people tuning in right now, they may think that once a day is too much that they could commit. The nice part about our delivery systems is that they're set up pretty easy. Like mine sits on the back of my chair, but even if you were traveling, you could easily take it with you. We're living in a toxic world. And so when I'm asked how often should I do sauna to detox or use the pad to keep my health, I put the question back to you. Do you live in a world where you just get toxic on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? And if so, tell me where that is, because I want to move there.
Right.
In today's world, I think that there's this kind of technology, again, back to nature. If we weren't living in modern apartments and single homes, we would be exposed to this every day on a daily basis.
Okay, let me ask the question another way then. Someone gets to the mat. Can they sleep on it? Can they sit on it all day? Or is there a point where you say you can overdo this?
Well,
what's your understanding? Because I know this is, a lot of people ask me
it's
this.
A good point. It's a good point. And in the body, there's what's called homeostasis, which is just sort of an equalization. Like you absorb enough of the sunlight, and once it fills up all your cells, even if you get a little bit more than you need right at this moment, the body releases it. And so you can't get too much of this infrared frequency, but you can overdo it. And let me explain that to you. So if you presented yourself, as we have many patients and customers, they're a little older or even young ones, or maybe people with chronic challenges and they have a lot of symptoms. I wouldn't start you off using the highest temperature for the longest amount of time. Because as I mentioned earlier, even if, let's say you're coming to me because you have a sleep challenge or you have a pain challenge, which we can manage, it also has a detox component to it. And so even though your complaint or your challenge is pain, which we can address, we're also going to have your body detox. And so if you're frail, and I know that I'm going to put you into a detox, I want to make sure that your detox pathways are opened. Otherwise, I could make your condition more complicated.
Understood, yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about when I say you can overdo it.
Yeah.
And so imagine it's something different. I am your swimming coach, and you've never swam before. You're so deathly scared of drowning. I wouldn't throw you into the deep end of the pool and then run off and go grab a latte or something. I'd probably start you off in the shallow end. If you were really fearful, I may just say, hey, come on, just throw your foot in the water. Don't even touch the bottom. Get rid of the fear, understand the temperature, and then slowly over time, and how that could translate, it could be maybe 4 or 5 weeks before we get a chronic patient in a sauna for 35 or 40 minutes. But, in terms of chronic challenges, it could take 20 years before you become symptomatic. Part of the discussion even today is that we all expect to take a magic little pill and then 20 years of being toxic, have that erase in one day. And this isn't a fast discussion. This is bringing nature into your life, reorganizing and creating that primal platform. And, muscles, cells, tissues, they all have memory. They want to be functionally well, So we believe from research and stuff that we basically get sick on a cell level, and we also heal on a cell level. And so if I can bring sunlight, good water, using binders, if I can do protocols and stack certain biohacks together to create a synergy to accelerate your body's getting back to health and bringing you back online again, that's really where we focus in our daily activities.
And then you mentioned sauna, infrared sauna. So obviously this is a different wavelength of light. Are you partnering them up, the red and the infrared, or do you tell people to do them separately?
Great question. And We do partner them up. Initially, when I was mentioning earlier about how our approach was really following nature, and that worked really well for me until 3 years ago. So I had been teaching at a destination health resort in Florida called Hippocrates. It's world renowned. I taught there for 18 years, and I sat in the back of the room that I designated as my classroom. That was this full mural of Hippocrates, and one of his sayings is "Food is your medicine." But it started to bother me because the food of Hippocrates' days, 200 years ago, is not the food of today, nor is our planet. Yeah. And so I chose to rework the formula that nature delivers sunlight to the planet to address today's world. And that's when I developed the Tri-Lite system, because I wanted to add more near and more red light frequencies into the cocktail of full spectrum in our sauna delivery system, which it's incredible. There's no other company on the market in the world right now that is doing what we're doing in terms of our portable sauna. And that Tri-Lite that I developed for the sauna became so popular that we actually broke it out and we have it as a standalone now.
So the Tri-Lite, it's okay to use in a high heat sauna environment. It was designed.
We developed that way.
Are there issues then with using the red light? Are you using it directly on the skin?
That's correct.
Okay, so what about if you're sweating? Like, are there issues there with light scattering or absorption issues? With
no,
water?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's actually just the opposite, because once your skin gets hydrated from sweat, then it actually becomes a accentuated organ, in a sense, to breathe in and out bring in other stacks and modalities, as well as it helps receive the beautiful frequencies. So I'm sure you know in your own research that the infrared spectrum harmonizes those wavelengths actually harmonize, or they vibrate at the same frequency as the water inside your body.
The near infrared?
Yeah, red and near. And this was proven scientifically by Dr. Gerald Pollack, who wrote a book called The Fourth Phase of Water. And so what he was talking about was how sunlight will restructure water. Yeah. But essentially, what really excites me about biophoton modulation, particularly the area of red light and full spectrum infrared, is that we have anatomically a layer of fat just under our skin that protects our insides from extreme heat and cold. And so when you compare like a hot rock sauna, dry heat, or a steam room, that's convection heat, heating up the ambient air, touching your skin, yes, you're going to sweat and pull out toxins. But when they did a study, they measured a drop of sweat in the same individual in a hot rock sauna, steam room, and infrared. There were 85% more toxins in the infrared drop of sweat, because that sunlight comes right through that insulating layer and goes right into your cell and enables that cell to methylate and get rid of these poisons, which in today's world, because of foods, the choices we make, lifestyle, things like that, lack of connection to the planet, I think we're missing a lot of it. And so we've seen a big resurge in the way that people respond to it. It's incredible. Like, I don't know any other technology on the planet that could bring about a physiological change as quickly as sunlight. And the next to that is we did develop just recently a cold plunge immersion tank. Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. So we're working on the contrast therapy. And so here you can be in a plunge for 3 minutes. Boom, you're changing your physiology. You can be in a sauna for 20 minutes or 30 minutes and change your physiology. It's remarkable. And it's sitting right in front of us. So it's great to talk to you about this and your community, because this is such an important topic for people to know that it doesn't, like, certainly we've made modern conveniences with our delivery system, but this is free. You can go outside. If you were in the sun at the right time of day, you could get everything that we're talking about, and it doesn't cost very much.
Free, yeah, that's it. It's just that, back in New Zealand right now, we don't get the sun for months. So that's where those devices do come in. It allows you to live that modern life and still be semi-resemblant of older times. But where can people learn? You know what? You have a lot of products on your website. We've just touched on, would you say this was the the core of the business?
Yeah, pretty much.
The light products.
Yeah, it started with the on-body experience, and then the next event was creating the sauna. And actually, the first stab at that was the traditional wooden sauna.
Right. Okay.
But when we made the wooden sauna, because I come as a device developer, we have intentions in everything we make, but we're very active listeners. And I kind of leave my ego outside. It's not about me. It's about you, the people that are checking in today. And when we made the wooden sauna, what I heard from the US market was, I'm sick, I need a sauna.
Yeah.
But I live on Park Avenue in New York.
Right.
My apartment is 700 feet. I need the sauna, but I have no space. So I need to develop something in my head that was space saving. Then the other thing I heard was, I live in Minnesota, I've got a big house, but I can't afford like a $4,000 or $5,000 investment in a wooden sauna. So I needed to come up with a design that was space saving and was economical. And that was sort of the genesis behind the portable format.
Yeah. So where can people go to find out more about these products you've talked about already, but also all of the other products you have? And maybe we'll have to do a part 2, because there is a lot to cover there. I mean, I was looking at your website earlier and I thought, wow, I could ask about this and that and this, but I thought, no, stay on topic, Alex. So where can people go?
Okay, so it's easy. Best place is Therasage.com. It's spelled THERASAGE.com. We have a global 800 number toll free, which is 888-416-4441.
Yeah.
You can email info@therasage.com. We have a very active Instagram, which is Therasage Infrared. So that's one of my favorite things in the morning. I look at that because the people that post their joy out of the using of all of our devices is just makes me validated that what we're doing is really right, and we're really serving all of you guys out there. And all the other, we have more than 22 products on the market now, and all of them center around the core of this infrared and what it does. But the other things like aromatherapy and ozone therapy and reflexology and guided meditation, they all feed into general health and well-being. And our idea is, if I have you in my sauna for a half hour, what other interventions can I bring in that are really going to dial up your experience? Yeah. And again, you just layer them in. You do this at your own time, at your own expense, when you can afford things, with a general goal in mind that we are in charge of our healthcare. And you can do this, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg, and it isn't a really big time commitment. You just have to choose to make a small lifestyle adjustment, ease into it, feel the benefit of it. And just like we have that negative spin, we can really create a positive spin in terms of your health and well-being and the message that you give to your kids and your family.
Very good. Amazing. Quite a journey you've had over the years, and you're putting out some interesting products, and I'm going to have to explore some of these other ones as well. So thank you so much for the time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'll put all the links down below. And if anyone has questions, leave them below or reach out directly to the Therasage customer support team. I mean, do you get in there as well and answer some
Totally.
questions?
We're a hands-on company. We have a crew that that I've developed. That's a healthcare team. This month, we're launching a integrated functional learning platform that we're calling Optimal Health, where people can join. It's got a community. They can also do a platform where they can learn about the fundamentals of healing in healthcare. No prejudice, no judgment, just truthful information that's not just delivered by me, but by the top practitioners in integrated functional health on the globe. So it's really a joy. Yeah. We're very accessible, and I really appreciate meeting you and having the opportunity to answer some questions. And yes, we do need to do a part 2.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys, thanks again. And thanks.
Okay, that's a wrap. I really hope you enjoyed this. To check out the Therasage website, there is a link down below. There may also be a discount link and a discount code. You can have a look in the show notes down below. Any questions, post them below. Otherwise, maybe check this video out next.